So yeah, Matt, on Friday I got to go to WWE Smackdown.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was in Pittsburgh.
Nice. What venue were you at?
I always forget the names of these places, but it was PPG Paints Arena.
Oh yeah, with Penguins with the Penguins.
Yeah, the old Civic Arena. Famous from the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Sudden Death.
Where I was on set there.
Were you?
Oh yeah, we should do it. We'll have to do a Sudden Death.
Okay, I'd love to hear your Sudden Death story. I told you I auditioned to be an extra in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah.
And I did not make it was kind of fun, especially being in line talking to some of the other people and stuff, and being involved in the process. But I did not get a call back.
Oh,
I don't know. Something about me doesn't.
No, you definitely should have been in there.
Yeah, it was Christopher Nolan's loss.
He definitely was. We recorded our House of Stories EP the day they were filming at Tynes Field, and we drove across the bridge, and we were driving slow to see, we saw the extras in there. We're like, oh, how do we miss that?
My wife, her bus got delayed because she was watching they wouldn't let the bus through because they were filming the Batwing scene.
Oh my God!
And so she got to see the Bat hovercraft go, ripping down the street. Yeah.
Holy shit!
I got to see, what I thought was the Batmobile, but it was those Bat tumblers where they mass produced the Batmobiles and made them camouflage and Bane and his army were driving around in this. So I got to see some of those.
Saw where they were parking the Gotham PD police cars and stuff. I'm a huge Peter Hyams fan, and they filmed. He was director for Sudden Death, and I'm glad because it's popping up on the video. Speaking of the Video Archives podcast, they've been mentioning him a lot, and I'm like,
yeah, he gets a lot of respect
on there. So I was like, hell yeah! And you were at PPG for
PPG for
Smackdown.
WWE Smackdown. Guy hooked us up with some tickets. It was his name's Jason Ayers. He's like a ref there, and he has a YouTube show too.
Oh wow!
It's called Zebras or something. It's like a ref.
That's super.
It's
cool.
A ref show. I forget. I wish I could remember the name, but yeah,
awesome.
He hooked us up with some tickets, some floor seats.
Wow.
He's a fan of the cartoonist kayfabe show.
Oh wow, that's
and
awesome.
so he furnished us with some tickets.
That's great.
Yeah, it was nice. We got the star treatment.
Oh
there,
yeah, you got a VIP treatment. Hell yeah!
I got to rest. No,
did you do a match? You took a chair shot.
We were talking.
I took a chair shot, it came on the show. Here again, no one would ever know that I've been cracked on the head with a fucking steel chair.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. With floor seats, we got a really good view of everything. We were kind of we were on the same side where the cameras were, so I was wondering if I was gonna end up on TV, but the cameras were behind it. So when you see the match going on, and then you see the spectators behind them. That was the opposite side of us. So which is fine or whatever. But
did the wrestlers come out and were walk near you guys?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And there was one point where one of the villains, he was kind of set up in the corner right by where we were, and there was a guy in front who was because the villains and stuff they want to be booed, they don't want cheers, they want booed, that's their fuel, and so there was a guy in the audience in the seat in front of us who was like, hey, I'm pulling for you, man. This guy was clearly the villain. He's I'm pulling for you. I want you to win. And the guy turns around and he's like, it was Dominic Mysterio. I don't know if you follow at all.
Oh, he's Rey Mysterio's Jr.'s son.
Right. So and that's the storyline that's going on with them. It's sort of like a
father-son.
Yeah, it's like a King Arthur and Mordred kind of thing. But so the guy's like, I'm pulling for you. And he's like, really? Really, you're pulling?
Nothing's funnier than a good one of these. Yeah. It would have been funnier one of these.
Yeah, because he doesn't want your pity. He doesn't want you pulling for it. He wants you booing him.
Yeah.
So that was pretty great. That was pretty.
That's so fucking funny.
It was awesome because Rey Mysterio, he's getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh wow.
He's getting this. That was the night he's getting inducted, and he's getting ready. He's like starting to give his speech, and then like the Dominic Mysterio sign comes up, and the music, the interruption.
Oh, that's
he's coming, and he's got his whole crew with him.
Oh yeah,
and he's like. It's so awesome because like just in this like YouTube age, you can go up and watch all of these like highlights. Everything I saw, you can watch. It's such a great storyline. But he comes up and he's like, when I think about all the Thanksgivings you missed and the Christmases you missed, building up this Hall of Fame career of yours. All the Little League games and the soccer games you missed. The only Hall of Fame you belong in is the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame.
That's fucking hilarious. Dude, that's so great.
Yeah.
I would have been popping so much at the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame.
He's like really taking it because like his son's getting up in his face and like he's like holding it together.
Rey Mysterio's like been such a great face. He's always played, has been the good guy.
Yeah.
And I was at the Royal Rumble one year, where it was the year I think Batista won the Royal Rumble. It was in Pittsburgh. It was like I can't remember when it was, but it was CM Punk's like first final WWE.
So you saw Batista fight.
I saw Batista
because that was another guy where I was thinking like, oh, what if Batista shows up?
It was the year everyone wanted Daniel Bryan to like win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania. So when he wasn't showing up, and then when poor Rey Mysterio comes out and it wasn't Daniel Bryan, everyone was booing him.
Wow.
And he got the whole place booed Rey Mysterio.
They like for this Hall of Fame thing. I mean, I don't know if he got into the Hall of Fame because he never got to finish his speech. But like during they do the video and it's like a highlight reel and you're just watching him like flying all over the place and flipping and jumping and
the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame is hilarious.
It was
That's
great.
so funny.
Yeah, I really got to hand it to the writing for this stuff. It was great. And, yeah.
And then him giving the
that was great. I mean that was just like they're because they have to do a lot of like improving because like they're reacting to the crowd and stuff and like everybody's like really in character and like like it the performance is really great, like how it's like upheld maintaining kayfabe and stuff. Like but just to be able to keep that stuff going, and then even like when there's like kids in the audience, like the bad guys, they still have to they have to antagonize the kids but not like traumatize them, so that's kind of interesting too.
There was this one clip from where the $6 million man, where the $1 million, the $6 million man Ted DiBiase gets in an accident.
Well, there was one guy. There was one guy who it looked like he had a cybernetic arm. He had like this like all metal. It looked like he had an arm made of liquid metal.
Ted DiBiase gets in an accident, and then we can't rebuild him, and he is now the $6 million man, Ted DiBiase. But this kid was like, he was like betting how many times this kid could bounce his basketball, and then he just kicked the basketball away from this little kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. It's the performances are really good, and I'm not somebody who's like followed wrestling. Like when I was a kid, it was Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. Like that Hulk Hogan era was like I was into it for a little bit, and then kind of like missed a bunch of decades of stuff, and then kind of like just more recently kind of getting into it and stuff. And like we went to that. That one in Elizabeth. Yeah,
that was a great time.
Yeah, that was great. The indie wrestling. That was like a lot of fun.
That was awesome.
And like so like I kind of had this idea of what wrestling is like, kind of like being sort of an outsider, and like I assumed it was more like where it's like, oh, some people are fans of this guy and some people are fans of the other guy, and then they fight and stuff. But it's like, it really is like, no, there's good guys and there's bad guys. And there are going to be some people who kind of like root for the bad guys, especially like, and maybe buy the bad guy merch and stuff. But you're still like, you're supposed to boo for the bad guy and cheer for the and everything about the performance leads to that. So I wasn't kind of ready I thought there was going to be more of like a divided kind of thing. So it, with
WWE, I have kind of fallen off. I would like to get back into it. The last match I think I watched was in 2020. It was the I think it was the COVID era WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it was the Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles, and I fucking like I'm obsessed with that match because basically like maybe they should just keep doing this. It's where like they just shot the match. It wasn't in a ring. It was like out in the graveyard.
Okay.
it was the Undertaker versus AJ Styles. It was in Orlando, and it was shot like an episode of like Thunder, like Hulk Hogan's Thunder in Paradise, where there was
like a Baywatch episode.
Episode of Baywatch, and they had punch sound effects when they hit each other.
Well, was it one of those sort of like COVID things where like one guy's over here and one guy's over here and they're swinging fists and then they just kind of like digitally like
no they were there it was like on location, and Undertaker AJ Styles showed up. We'll have to watch this.
Okay, maybe we'll just do a separate episode of that.
Yeah,
so we'll kind of put a pin in that,
yeah.
and then maybe we can do a separate episode
I'll
of just
put it
that,
on.
because I'd like to see that. So yes, hold that thought.
It's fucking great.
That'll be the part 2 of this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were asking me like who else I saw. There was a lot of royalty there. There were, like dynasties, like in wrestling, there's a lot of, like they become sort of family businesses and stuff. So Ric Flair's daughter,
Charlotte Flair. Wow.
she's like the current champ.
She's great.
Yeah, she was the current champion, and it was like, there's definitely a mystique. Like she sort of comes out and it's like, oh my god, that's royalty. She's royalty. That's Ric Flair's daughter, and she's really playing into it really well, and she comes out and she's got like rhinestones. Yeah, the robe is covered with like rhinestones. Her whole outfit's covered, and like in person in that kind of auditorium thing, like the lights just coming off of it, bam bam, just like she's like luminous and stuff, and she comes out and she's got this regal bearing, and like her outfit, her robe and everything is like it references Ric Flair's outfits. She's got like the boa and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, Ric Flair was like, like he was like a heel, like that's like boo, but like you think you're great or something.
Yeah.
Boo boo. But it kind of like it like fits like Charlotte a lot better. Like it really like and you're not booing her. It kind of is like, this is her inheritance or whatever.
Like if I was gonna draw some heat here, I would put on like a scarf,
right,
and have like
a beret
on, and like Chris Jericho had his scarf, was drawing like, I'm like, that's we can feel the heat coming. He put on this scarf on and get some heat.
And Charlotte wrestled a girl who like. She was. This was the villain. This was the heel. But she was like, I think she's gonna, like she seemed like the crowd was really into her. Like she was. Nice. She had a great charisma. Her name was Shotzi.
And awesome.
Like, just like
great band. I love
a clear bad guy. She pulls up. She's got green hair. She pulls up in a tank.
Oh,
in this like
amazing.
mini tank. It's like this mini tank, kind of like Tank Girl or something. There's a lot of comics imagery and stuff in this show, but she like pulls up in this like this like crazy tank with like a helmet with horns on it. She's got green hair, and she just like jumps in the, and she's like rolling and what like she was great. She was really fun to watch and stuff, and I think a rising star, or I guess cool. I guess you reach a certain level of popularity, and then you can kind of like go from heel, have your face turn or what.
Some guys can't ever make that. Like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I don't know if he ever did a heel turn, but I think I've heard that Roman Reigns is doing like a heel turn now, and he had been a face for a long time. That's always interesting.
So it was an interesting match, and yeah, you can watch like highlights of this one, like the two of them. It was really good.
You cracked me over the head with a chair.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought there was going to be more antagonism from the bad guys to the crowd. Like, and I guess because it's like this one was being televised and stuff, so like they can't do too much like Pittsburgh specific stuff. Like there wasn't like a scene backstage or something where somebody's like stuffing a bunch of pierogies in their mouth or something.
Yeah, he stuffs them in, then he spits them in a garbage can. He's like, "This is shit."
Right.
Just like this stupid city or whatever.
That's what I was expecting. I was expecting more of that, and I thought there was going to be more like antagonism of Pittsburgh, where it's like, you Pittsburghers, you put French fries on your sandwiches, it tastes like shit. Fuck you. Fuck you and your fucking French fries. Yo, you're the only town dumb enough to put your fries on the sandwich. They go next to the sandwich, you fucking slob.
You make me sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna puke.
I thought there was gonna be more of that. Like, you guys really like your old buildings, don't ya?
Yeah. Your football team's a piece of shit, and if you like it, you're a moron.
Yeah, I wipe my ass with a terrible towel.
Every time I take, he's like, I got a stack of terrible towels this high, and I use them to wipe my ass.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more of that, and there wasn't really any of that. Like, they don't, like, directly antagonize, like, vocal, like, most, like, when they have the mic, the bad guys are antagonizing the good guys. They're like, telling them, this and that. But they didn't like turn on the crowd. And I thought there was going to be some of that. And I would have relished that.
He doesn't pick somebody out of the. He doesn't do like crowd work.
Right, exactly.
There's this clown in Pittsburgh, Buffa the Clown. I don't know if you ever saw him running around. He was like this muscle-bound clown that would like rip promos and shit. And somehow I run across him like at least 3 times, and every time he like roasted me.
That's great.
One time I had these like sideburns, and he said he was gonna pull sideburns off my fucking head.
Pull your sideburns off your fucking. Yeah, like I thought there was like one point where somebody like said to somebody else like, "You're being nosy," and I thought like, "Oh man, Nebby." They should have said, "You're being Nebby," and then the crowd would have popped, exploded.
The face is like, you know what? You're being a real neb nose.
Yeah, and
would it be great? It says parking chair. It's a folding chair, and he picks it up and cracks the guy with
it's time to red up. Yeah, and there was like a guy who was Scottish, and he had like a Highlander gimmick. He had like a sword and a kilt.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I'm sure you know.
It's from 3. He used to be in the. It's funny because like he was in this group that was like these jobbers. They were called 3-man band.
Okay.
And like, I think Drew McIntyre was his name. Drew McIntyre.
McIntyre. Yeah, that's it. McIntyre. Yeah.
And like,
and he's got a sword.
He's got a sword.
Like he didn't do anything with the sword. Like it's just kind of but I thought maybe somebody was gonna get dinged on the head or something. Yeah, but it's like he's going for like a Highlander thing, and then there was a guy Sheamus who's pretty big. Like I've seen like
Sheamus,
books about him and stuff. And yeah, he's like the Irish guy. So and it was a Friday, so like maybe talking about we were at the fish fry.
Yeah. He's like, I was down at the fish fry, lads. You laddie. Or he's over at CMU.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Andrew Carnegie.
But the cartons. He's like
that guy Sheamus could not be more pale. Like
I was gonna say
he was by far the palest guy there. And when they're like all punching each other and smacking each other, it was like you'd see these like red handprints. He had like sideburns. I could see somebody.
But the Buffa the Clown was gonna pull my fucking sideburns up.
As like it was the same thing in Elizabeth, where it was like every match, like the wrestlers just keep getting bigger and bigger, and that's how it was. And like. Yeah, he was.
Wasn't that a great time?
Yeah, that was a great time in Elizabeth.
We should do that again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the indie stuff's a lot of fun. Like it was really fun. Like this was my first time being at like a WWE or a WWF or and it was fun seeing the way like it's done. In like the big show or whatever.
At the wrestling match we were at.
But the indie stuff is so much fun too. And this indie stuff. They do antagonize the crowd more,
There was that group called the Sexy Talented Dudes, the STDs.
Yeah, the gimmicks are very funny.
Very funny.
They had some good gimmicks here. So they had like these like Viking guys. It was like these 2 Viking guys. They were dressed like characters from like a Sega Genesis game. It was like Golden Axe or something. And then they had this like high priestess. She had this like skull helmet with like horns and stuff, and she'd like put her hands on their heads and stuff. They had these shields. They kept the shields behind where we were sitting. I was like,
oh shit! You like slipped your arms through and like what?
There was never a point where anybody went flying into where but there was some cool stuff going on.
Wow!
Like some cool fights going on in the audience, and like somebody's popcorn got thrown.
Oh shit!
And like of course like landing on where the where the commentators are and stuff. And then there was like the big showstopper that I saw was there was like a point where like, they have those matches where it's like just a free for all. What do they call, like, where there's just a bunch of guys up there and like if you pin somebody, you win. But
brains rot. There's like
it's
there's like the Royal Rumble where you're like kind of throw the guys out of the ring, but that's like a pay-per-view.
Yeah, this wasn't that but there was a point where there were like 4 guys outside of the ring and they were all like tangled up with each other, and then like this other guy like threw somebody else, threw his tag team partner from like inside the ring through, and then like just knocked them like bowling pins. They just went flat. That was like the showstopper.
That's awesome.
That took, and yeah, there was like this big guy. Is it called like the Monster of Monsters or something?
Oh shit, I don't know that guy.
Yeah, but it was this like giant guy. He looked like Zangief from Street Fighter.
Oh
but,
man!
But he was like the biggest. Like he looked like he was like 9 feet tall, and he was kind of shaped like an ice cream cone. Like he just got like super wide as he went on. But he looked like Zangief. And then his partner, like his tag team partner, it wasn't like he was like a small guy or anything, but he definitely wasn't as big as him. But they kept doing like the fastball special where he'd like pick that guy up and throw him.
That's hilarious.
People. Yeah.
The there's a guy in WWE, I think his name's like, he used to wrestle under Punishment Martinez.
Okay.
But I think he's like Damian Priest in WWE, but he's like 8 feet tall. He's this huge guy. And when I saw him, I think he might have been in, I don't know, Ring of Honor or something, but he was going to squash, like just beat the shit out of this like jobber that he was going to wrestle. And I was doing a bit where I went over to the Rivers Casino and I said I put up all this money on this jobber. And they beat him in literally like 1 second. And I was like, oh my god. I'm like, there's no way Damian Priest is going to win this match. And he beat the guy in like 1 second.
And I guess they have this stuff they're doing for TV, and it's like it's got like an ongoing story. So like all the matches, all like the big TV matches were like had some kind of cliffhanger. So it was like there was one where it's like a tie, you know, and they're like, oh man, who's gonna win? So they're gonna
keep it going.
That. Yeah, they're gonna settle that at the next one. But then like after they're done all the TV filming, there's like kind of like like a fun match just for us, like just for it was a ladies match, and her name, it was something Belair. I don't know if you know something.
Bianca Belair?
It was Bianca Belair.
Maybe.
And so her gimmick, like she's got Belair in her name, so it's like it's supposed to be like
California.
Will Smith. Well, Will Smith. There's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and she does like wave my hair back and forth. She has like a long ponytail that she like flings around.
Yeah.
And it is it's almost like in like a video game, like a fighting game or something from the 90s. Where like a character would have their taunt that they do, if they're like beating you, and so that's like her taunt. She would like wave her hair and stuff. She was really good, and she would like smack her ass to like taunt the opponent. I forget, like she was like her opponent was good, but she was so good that like I don't even remember who her opponent was.
Yeah, sometimes they they're you just got like a jobber or just some like up and comer. Mm-hmm. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was a really fun night. It's like it's been a while since I've been to any kind of like big public gathering kind of thing, and it was just so much fun.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you guys had a great time. That sounded like a blast.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like it's such like a well-crafted entertainment, because like it is like you got to keep this crowd like on their toes and kind of like engaged and across a pretty long period of time, and you have to like entertain this like home audience and stuff. It's just like a lot of it. Yeah,
you're playing for the camera and those in person too.
I have a lot of like respect for the I mean just the experience itself was so much fun, but I have a lot of respect for like the artistry and the craftsmanship and the athleticism like behind it, and the acting too, like, and it is like there's those scenes in like Golden Girls where they kind of like freeze, but like the camera doesn't freeze, like they have to like hold the moment or whatever, where like somebody says something and then Dorothy does like her thing or whatever, and they just kind of freeze, and so like you have to do that in this sometimes too. You have to like hold a moment. because like maybe they're showing the instant replay,
Or they go to commercial.
or they're going to a commercial, or so they have to kind of hold the moment, and that like that's hard to do, and you could tell they were like really good at that too, like kind of like simmering and stewing and like staring each other down, or like nursing a wound, like.
I love it. That's shit I love talking.
Yeah.
Or like they call them sometimes like rest holds.
Yeah.
Where like
there was that. It was like, oh man, these guys are catching their breath here,
so they gotta like just hold like a headlock for a little bit. I'm faking writhing. I'm like, God, I need a couple minutes here.
Yeah, and there is like, there's a lot of colliding. Like you hear like a lot of like people smacking up against each other with like their full weight and stuff. And yet the Charlotte Flair, her finishing move was the same finishing move as her dad. She'd do that thing where she like bends, how Ric Flair would do that thing where
the
he like
figure
bends
four
backward.
leg lock.
Yeah, she did.
That's
she
awesome.
does the same move. So it is kind of fun seeing like the thing. And then the other, so you had Dominic Mysterioso, you had Charlotte Flair, and then you had Cody Rhodes.
Oh yeah. Son of the American Dream.
Yeah. And
son of a plumber.
Yeah, he came in and he was, the crowd was into him. Oh yeah,
wow.
For sure, yeah. And he comes in because he's like dressed up in like a suit or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then he like strips down to his waist, so he's got his like
pants.
his dress pants on, and
They usually say sometimes, and I know Cody wears the trunks, but sometimes like they always joke around or say like if you're the wrestler that wears like the long pants, it's because you can't like where you're working out, you just can't develop your legs. Your legs don't look just like they don't blow up the same way as your upper body.
Yeah, nobody had like the traditional wrestling boots.
Okay,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
It's also like it's interesting because like again, most of my knowledge of wrestling is that 80s stuff, like the Hulk Hogan era, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, like anybody who was on Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. That's like Iron Sheik, and Sergeant Slaughter, like that's the era I know. And it is interesting comparing it because each of those eras, like this era is so much fun, but like each era does have its strengths. Like it's kind of like comparing like a Bruce Lee movie to like a Jackie Chan movie, because like the Bruce Lee stuff has just like a raw power and impact and that's kind of like the old school wrestling has that, where it's like it's not so fancy but it's kind of like brutal and stuff. And then the newer stuff, it's got like this like this flash and excitement and humor and a bunch of like little moves within a move and like a story and like and virtuosity and stuff. So it is like it's really a lot of fun to watch, but it is it's interesting thinking about like the differences.
It's so much fun, and I'm hoping to get back into. We should get some delve a little bit deeper into
I'd
some
like
recent
to check.
wrestling.
Like I can see how like you could get hooked on this stuff, because it is like you want to find out what happens next.
Yeah.
And it is kind of cool that the next day, WWE puts up like on YouTube and on their YouTube channel, like puts up the highlights, and you can kind of follow along even if you like missed the broadcast or whatever. I was like at the beginning, they're showing you all these like these highlights and history. There's a lot of history stuff that they're showing. Imagine if you were following all this stuff all along, like how like full your brain would be with all these like twists and turns. That's a lot of catching up to do.
We got to get back into it.
Yeah.
No, that's all. That's too awesome.
But yeah, it was so much fun. Like it was.
That sounds like a hell of a time. Mm-hmm. And it was SmackDown. I'm gonna watch the broadcast whenever they get.
Yeah, it was. I think it was live. Like I think it was on this Friday. So.
Oh yeah.
But you can watch all the highlights and stuff.
I have Peacock.
Okay.
Plus,
so you can go back and watch.
They have.
See if you can spot me in the crowd.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Peacock has. Like they have like the WWE Network, but they basically Peacock is like scoop that up, so you can watch like any WWE match from all time.
So it's like it runs on Friday, and then like next Friday you'll be able to see the continuation. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And like everything's building towards WrestleMania. When's WrestleMania?
I want to say it's in April.
April. Okay.
Okay,
so it's because there was a lot of like, we're going to settle this at WrestleMania. There was a lot of that.
There's like the joke of like, there's the WrestleMania sign. Do they have the WrestleMania sign?
They had the big, it was like WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
And somebody always they point to this? Did anybody?
I don't remember. I mean, because
Like
I didn't notice the WrestleMania sign until towards the end. I kind of turned because it was like over there. I was like, oh, there it is.
Somebody always points to it.
Uh-huh.
There's the Total Recall sign. I'm like,
yeah.
it's like, hey, I pulled some strings. It's hanging in the rafters.
Yeah. Total Recall.
It's
you Total Recall sweat
hogs. I just ate something. It's called a pierogi. It sucks.
These fish fries suck. You got shitty collapsing bridges.
Yes. Your bridges are ready to crumble.
Your bridges suck. Your infrastructure is shit.
Your bridges are like my ass. It stinks.
I came down here to your downtown area. There wasn't one open bathroom. There's no place to take a shit in Pittsburgh except the middle of Liberty Avenue. I had to drop trow in the middle of Liberty Avenue to take a shit. I took a shit in the Liberty Bell. That's the wrong city. That's the wrong...
I took a shit in Liberty Bell upside down. I shit up into the Liberty Bell. Explosive diarrhea. I shit in the Liberty Bell. It's like it's the second time I shit in the Liberty Bell. The first was during the bicentennial.
This is the bicentennial of the time I shit in the Liberty Bell.
I spackled the crack of the Liberty Bell over with my shit.
You've been watching the WWE Smackdown edition of the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And in the show notes below, you can find a pre-order link for that book and also the paperback edition of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow my music on Instagram at Speedrun Rock.
You can support my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli, and you'll have access to the full archive.
Follow the show on Instagram at total_recall_show.
And we'll see you at WrestleMania.
There's the sign right there. I'm going to it.
That's where we'll settle this.
We're gonna settle this. We're a tag team. We're gonna wrestle.
There was a great one where it's like these two brothers, and then one of the brothers betrays the other brother to join up with another guy, but then he does the double cross. Where the guy he joined up with, he grabs him by the beard and starts like squeezing his beard. It was great. It was really good.